We live during a time of awe-inspiring clinical forward leaps. Present-day specialists can make the visually impaired see, read, grow, or connect completely dismantled organs, or even animate patients who've been in a state of insensibility for quite a while. Notwithstanding, from time to time, prepared clinical experts run over unconstrained recuperations where the patient had almost no odds of endurance. Beneath, we will investigate instances of individuals who recuperate even in the wake of confronting certain passings as casualties of mishaps or lethal judgments. Here are the main 10 phenomenal recuperations. In 2010, a gang of 4 adult men viciously attacked a 7-year-old boy in Bangladesh. Ekka was playing in his family home when 3 other kids approached him. These older kids promised Ekka a treat if he agreed to complete a task with them. He reluctantly agreed and went along with his newfound friends. After a while, the boy decided to head back home. 4 men emerged from nearby and grabbed him. They demanded that he beg for money from passers-by, which Ekka declined and threatened to tell his father. His assailants hit his head with a huge brick. Even as he bled profusely, the men sliced a D, cut into the child's torso and mutilated his genitalia. They left the boy for dead. Ekka's mother found her child's almost lifeless body lying in a pool of blood next to a warehouse. Ekka was rushed to hospital in a rickshaw. Despite 0 chances of surviving his wits, he managed to recover after 3 months in the intensive care unit.
Do some pretty stupid things, and sure, we're all prone to putting ourselves at risk
In
from time
Van
to
Buren,
time.
Indiana, and other parts of the country, it isn't strange to see teenagers holding onto moving vehicles as they balance their skateboards. This is popularly known as skitching. In 2014, this dangerous activity almost cost Brendan Timmons his life. He was just 18 years old. While riding on his skateboard, Brendan decided to give skitching a try. As he clutched to the speeding vehicle, his skateboard hit a pothole in the road. The impact sent Brendan in the air before hitting his head hard on the pavement. By the time Brendan arrived at the hospital, he had almost zero brain activity. Due to his head's impact, he suffered an extreme case of brain swelling, and doctors had to remove most of his skull. According to the doctors, Brendan had a minimal chance of making it through the night. However, his family wouldn't give up on him. They stayed by the boy's bedside. Miraculously, the boy's condition quickly improved, and the doctors discharged him. How the young man managed to survive this severe brain trauma case is a plain case of medical miracles.
Our next story is one that seems to defy medicine and logic. A man working on a skyscraper plunges 47 stories.
Al Sides and his younger brother Edgar had been washing windows of a tall building in Manhattan, New York, when they were involved in a horrific accident. The platform they were using to scale to the windows of the building's 47th floor suddenly broke and dropped out of the sky. The 2 brothers fell to the ground. The impact killed Edgar on the spot. Amazingly, by the time rescuers arrived at the scene, Al Sides was conscious and sitting upright in the alleyway. By the time he arrived in the hospital, Al Sides was barely conscious. He was bleeding profusely, and the scans revealed the worst. He suffered a severe brain injury, had broken the rib, both his legs and one arm. His spinal cord was badly injured. The doctors performed an emergency operation despite having no hopes that he would survive the accident. In the next few weeks, the doctors performed 9 more operations on him. They were spent when Al Sides uttered his first words after the accident. Neurosurgeons have long used brain stimulation to treat various brain traumas and illnesses such as Parkinson's disease. However, this treatment proved very important for a man who had been in a vegetative state for 6 years after a brutal assault. The man's family had long lost hope of the recovery of their loved one. During the 6 years, the man had not communicated, swallowed, or even made coordinated body movements. Just as his family contemplated pulling the plug, a medical team decided to insert electrodes in his skull to stimulate the brain. They hoped this stimulation would trigger his dormant brain to function again. And they were right. The doctors scheduled him for surgery. The man, who had not even blinked once in 6 years, immediately began to show improvement after the doctors inserted the electrodes. Medical practitioners have never used this kind of treatment to treat brain damage. They were perplexed when it worked perfectly with this patient.
And ahead Ahead of the release of police investigation documents, the parents of the youngest victim in the Kalamazoo...
People still remember the February 20th, 2016 shootout by the Kalamazoo Uber gunman that left many people dead. From this shootout emerged an inspiring medical story. Abigail Carter was one of the victims of the shootout. She suffered a head shock. It is common to hear of people who have recovered from gunshot wounds. However, it is not every day that you hear of a 14-year-old girl who survived a head shock. The doctors were about to harvest the young girl's organs when she squeezed her mother's thumb on her deathbed, and she recovered in just 3 months, making her story even more miraculous and inspirational. The fact that she survived after a close-range headshot makes her an inspiration to many. Today, Abigail lives the life of a normal young girl despite having a few mobility challenges.